talking here with Howard Schmidt, and recently you addressed Congress, and your point in talking to Congress was some initiatives for the new Chief Technical Officer for the nation. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the issue is when you start looking at the government as a whole, there's, I think, two components that when we talk to government leaders about that we have to consider. There's the government systems themselves and things that they could do to secure those systems to protect your tax records, my medical records from the VA, these sort of things. Then there's also the government's role is, what is the government's role and responsibility when it comes to critical infrastructure protection from the assets owned and operated by the private sector? So if I could, I'll just sort of break that down into two separate areas. The one, first and foremost, on the government side, a lot of people will ask is, what does a government enterprise look like? Why is a government enterprise different than a private sector enterprise? And what are the things that need to be done differently? Well, notwithstanding intelligence and defense side of things, which are very, very special and very specific way of dealing with things. When you look at the general enterprises, there's not any difference. The technology is basically the same. The same people that are working on enterprise security for a government system may 3 years ago have been working in private sector, or 3 years from now may be working in private sector. So the technology and the people side is often the same. The difference is the product. And the product of the government, it's something that's part of the public service, which is what government's role is. So consequently, there's not much of a difference the way these things run. On the other hand, with the government's role in critical infrastructure protection that's owned and operated by the private sector, they have a different responsibility. There's one of leadership, making sure that they're buying the things for the government that are going to be more secure, that they're doing acquisition the way it should be, that the software they buy has the minimum amount of vulnerabilities, and looking forward, making sure that even in the future there's even fewer vulnerabilities. And that also has the net effect of when the government's buying it with a special requirement to do more for security, that trickles down. Suppliers of IT infrastructure for the government are not going to say, yeah, the government, you get the secure stuff, but, you know, company X that's based in New York or San Francisco or Chicago, you don't get the same security. So it has that trickle-down effect. The government can do that. But there is one unique thing with the government when it comes to critical infrastructure, and that's making sure that the services that we as citizens depend on are available to us. So making sure, generally without regulation, that private sector companies understand that they have a special role in making sure that you and I can still get on the plane safely, to get a bus safely, to take a train ride safely, that we can do online banking safely, we can do online purchasing safely. So government facilitating that portion of it is a big role that I've talked to the government about as well.